Hey guys, welcome to Michelle's Opinions. Today we have Joel, otherwise known as Enlightened Celt. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, I guess you can say it either way.
Yeah, it's Celt. Both sound wonderful. And we have a lot in common,
Mm,
but with a lot of similarities in the experiences that we have, with
yeah,
some amazing things that he's going to share with us that he's learned. But we'll progress to that because I'm very interested in the advancements that he has made on with following this passion. And we're going to be talking about astro-dreams, astro projecting, remote viewing, which, is pretty much along the lines with astro. When you're in the astro realm, whether it be night or day, you're still kind of remote viewing. And then wherever else the conversation takes us. So, Joel, you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with you, what your plans are, and we'll start, digging deep into the topics and going
yeah,
from there. Okay.
yeah. So, basically, with the whole astral projection thing, and I mean, I'm sure we'll get into that. But right now, I'm currently an illustrator, and I've got a lot of different stuff I do. So it's kind of interesting. Keeps me busy, but
Artist.
yes, yep, absolutely, absolutely. I do have a YouTube channel that I will be eventually posting stuff on as far as artwork goes and like what I do as an illustrator in the process. That's all in the future though. Not too far, but I'll get there eventually. It's just getting the right setup for it.
Right, right. You were talking about doing some, like where you speed it up or time lapse art.
Yes, yes. Time
That would
lapse.
be really neat, and also possibly some basic teachings on how to make, some simple
Yeah.
ways for people to draw things for themselves and learn. That's amazing. There's a lot of people that don't carry that as a natural ability like you do, and just to show some like simple cartoon character how you can draw them, like you guys make it look so easy. You put a few lines out there, and then all of a sudden, you've got like a duck, or you've got Mickey Mouse or Garfield. Even, I mean, just
Right, right.
you know what I mean. But people like us look at that, and I would follow your instructions. I would be like watching and doing it while I'm watching it to learn, and that's that's an amazing talent to teach other people.
Thank you.
It is.
Thank you.
And you guys, all of his information is in the show more notes, and he's also on my homepage under the side listed for where his channel is. When he starts posting on his channel, that's where you'll be able to find that. And also, well, you did the illustrations for a book.
Yes, I did. I did. That was a really cool endeavor, and it's ongoing. I've got a lot of books I'm still working on. But what I'd like to do with some of these books is, kind of photograph and record what I do, and then after the book comes out, kind of show you the process I went through to getting it from just imagination to published and everything like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think it'll be really cool. A lot of fun.
I want to say thanks to Overprotected. For some reason, I always got that squiggly line when I put Astro. I always thought of it as Astral, but she said it's Astral. And that could be why I'm getting the squiggly line underneath of it. So I will definitely correct that. Thank you, Overprotected. I'm not good with the labels. I know the experiences, and it does, some people call different experiences by different names. Just like in
Yeah,
different religions, they call things different things, but they're the same thing.
yeah, they're
Uh,
the same.
Yeah, yeah. So
Clarify that.
you want to? I know I've heard this, but possibly a lot of the people here have not. Your where you had a journey that you thought you were gone for weeks, where
Yes.
you want to get into, you want to share that, and
Sure.
we'll dive deep into well, let's say hi to people in the room really quick, and then we're going to get into that with Joel, because I know you guys are excited to get to the good stuff. Okay. We've got let me start from the top. There's a lot of you guys in here. Hi Liera, hi T Taylor, Kate Wright, Jams TV, woo, woo. Kate Wright, Overprotected, Scott Balo. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody? Okay. Thank you guys for, even with me being late. Thank you for very much. Let me do a quick thank you to my Patreon supporters. Connie Graves, thank you. D Mac, thank you. J Camp, thank you. J Mac, thank you. Kate Wright, thank you. Liara, thank you. M Camp, thank you. Pink Coffee, thank you. Sharon Grantham, I'm sure I'm butchering her name, thank you. And to my PayPal supporter, Pink Coffee, thank you. She got a double thank you. She's amazing. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. Okay, now, let's go. I hope our sound is coming through really good for you guys too. So let us know if there's a problem.
So, as far as the astral projection experience goes, it was a few years ago now, and it was I'd always heard about it, like this was a thing. I knew that I was capable of lucid dreaming, and everybody is, and so it kind of like piqued my interest, like hearing that this what's known as astral projection is like on a whole different level above lucid dreaming. And so I thought, well, okay, I bought a book on it, which was really helpful. That showed me a lot of like techniques and stuff and practices to get my mind and my ego where it should be, so I could exit my body. A lot of people I hear that have like near-death experiences. It's very comparable to projecting. I didn't have a near-death experience. It was just I activated it myself through these practices, and it took a while. I noticed leading up to it, a lot of my lucid dreams became more realistic when I was lucid dreaming, but I kept lapsing back into my dream, and this went on for a few months. When I finally did project, there was a lot of stuff in the practices, and I know, Michelle, you call them touchstones. I always call them triggers or focal points in a dream, which this is nothing. We're referring to the same thing. So if I don't say touchstone, this is
No, it's the same. Everybody has their verbs. That's only just to clear up the language that we're talking about the same thing. That's the only reason it's being addressed, is that. So when he says that, and if I say that, we're talking about the same thing.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. So a lot of these practices, you do them every day, and especially right before you go to sleep. And some of them were like planting these focal points in your mind, so when you do start dreaming, you've thought about it so much in waking life that when it happens in a dream, it kind of triggers that lucid dreaming state. And to go beyond that, beyond lucid dreaming, it takes you into the projection state. And a lot of them were like the light switches. You flick a light switch, it won't turn on. In a dream, you might think, oh, you don't even really think about it, and maybe the bulb's blown. But the more you do it, like, the more real it becomes. This isn't the problem. I think I'm dreaming. And there's also reading books. It's very interesting to try to read a book when you're dreaming or lucid dreaming. And also clocks, digital or analog, they won't make sense at all.
Yeah, you were talking, I haven't noticed that yet. You want to elaborate a little bit? Because like when you explained that to me yesterday, that really piqued my interest, because it wasn't something that I had noticed in that realm.
Yeah. So if you ever do come across the clock in your dream, digital or analog, so digital clocks will usually just the numbers will be swirling and you won't be able to read the time.
Ah.
With an analog clock, the hands might be going backwards or completely stopped or going different directions at the same time. So it won't make sense, you know.
Like the
Usually,
Mad Hatter's clock on
yes.
Alice in Wonderland. Oh, okay.
When you picture that, that's
Interesting.
what happens and what what goes on with that. Because time is like it's a very weird construct for us, but time works differently in all these places you go when you project. And I do believe that like there are different dimensional realities outside our own we can go to, and there's quite possibly an infinite number of them, and they may have time or not, or a version of time. The time looks very different.
Sorry about the dog.
No problem, no problem.
He's getting.
I got my doggy here too.
She's a talker though. When she gets talking, she likes to talk.
But yeah, so this experience, I remember I was lucid dreaming. I rolled out of I should say rolled out of my body. That's essentially what happened, but I hadn't noticed that yet. I just kept sitting up on the edge of my bed. And this happened about 7 or 8 times. I'd wake up and I'd sit back up on my bed again. And yeah, by about the seventh or eighth time, I started looking at my digital clock and it was doing the numbers swirling thing. And I was like, man, that's weird. Rubbed my eyes and same thing. So I got up, walked over to my door, and I flicked the light switch. It didn't turn on, and it was kind of weird because right at that point I kind of had this sensation like, okay, I'm like dreaming, and it went phased into lucid dreaming, and then I was like, okay, I had this sensation that when I turn around, I'm going to see my body there, and I turned around to actually look at the light, which wasn't coming on, and then I looked down and I see my body laying there, and I went, okay, well, this is it. This is what I've been practicing and training for. So I remember I could have stayed, and I think this might be where like remote viewing can happen. I was in this realm. My astral body, my etheric body was in this realm. I chose to leave right away because I wanted to do something fun because it was my first time this has ever happened to me. So I remember saying to myself, okay, before I open my bedroom door, I'm going to go somewhere else. When I step through that door, I'm going to be somewhere else completely. And that's what happened. I stepped through, things went black for just a minute, and then it was like they all came back into focus, and I was in this completely other different realm where it was like constant twilight. But it wasn't a negative feeling. It wasn't a negative feeling. It was almost like in a twilight state there constantly. There were constellations and bodies in the sky. Some kind of looked familiar, but most of them were pretty foreign to me. And I had this voice that came from out of nowhere, and I never saw who embodied that voice, or even if they did. That told me that I became aware that I was dreaming to a lucid dreaming state, and then beyond that, like literally pulled my astral body out of my physical body, and it told me there was things down here, like there were people, and they all seemed like they were dreaming. I don't know how to explain that other than it was just a feeling. The voice told me, don't worry about talking to them because they're not going to notice you, they're not going to respond to you. And there were 5 beings down on the beach who I was also told to not bother talking to because they wouldn't talk to me either. But these 5 beings were the only ones that were aware of my presence. Like, they were aware of me before I actually even got there. I could feel them noticing me, and vice versa. It was more like a telepathic, not so much communication because we didn't talk, but like a feeling, like your energy touching something. That's what it felt like. And I did a lot of stuff in there. It's quite a long story, and I don't want to be long-winded because a lot of this, like, I think we need to.
I have a question. I want to know what your thoughts are on this, because we know that we do this stuff, and then it's like we become aware of it. I'm wondering if the 5 people that were there with you were there doing their work, but just are not
They
consciously aware that they're actually doing their work.
they weren't. Well, I'm sorry. I should have clarified. They weren't being like when I say beings. They weren't human or.
Oh, okay. That makes a difference.
It was
Okay.
almost like they were resident natives of that area.
Okay, I
They were
gotcha.
very tall, dressed all in black. Their eyes were completely blacked out, like, you know, when people wear those scleric contacts that cover their whole eye. Cover it, like, you couldn't see any white.
Like a gray alien? Like how they have those blacked out eyes?
Yeah, like that. It was like that. You couldn't see pupils or anything.
All
yeah,
one big pupil.
Yeah, actually, that's probably what it was, which is
Wow.
very strange. And the energy
That's why
I got,
aliens must wear shades.
yeah, you can really burn your retinas out real quick.
Sure.
Absolutely.
No, this is all, you know, this is about, you know, what you went through. I mean, I'm curious, and then we'll get into the how we can do this at will, because I'm very interested at that. You know, I've just did that video on activating the Merkaba. Now that's the energy force that surrounds us at all times, and that kind of gets that hum and buzz energy going. It's different than the ear frequencies that we hear, but it's like that inner bzzz, and you can hear it in your ears. That it's an energetic sound. It's different. So when you're going on these journeys, I think we have this in common too, that you can hear it, you can feel it within your body, and it feels much different than you know, just a normal lucid dream. We can have feelings and touch and all that in a lucid dream, but this is completely different. I mean, it's like your whole body is tingling, and you can just and it's an energy, and it's not bad.
Yeah,
it
not
can
bad.
be scary at first when you don't know what's going on, but it's not a bad feeling.
It's very strange. And I think you know, we talked about this too, like before the projection experience, like I had that, like that restless energy feeling, like, you know, but it was so weird. I felt like my spirit felt restless, but my body was literally wanting to go to sleep. And I think that was another thing too. I mean, if I would have known then, I would have been a lot more excited, because I would have known, yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep now. I ain't gonna set my alarm. I'm just gonna like be gone for a while. So I remember becoming very tired, and I went to lay down, and it was almost immediately, like maybe 2 minutes. I mean, I was out, but then also out of my body. You know,
Yes.
I need to get out. Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of people that they have this kind of just thrown on them, like, you know, I'm personally not one of those lucky ones that can just do this at will. I have to practice and put in the effort. But it is like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you and the better you get at it. And that's, you know, it's kind of like with anything that holds up true. It's for me, it's a little more work. There are people that it does come like second nature to, and that would be awesome if it was for me too. But yeah, I do have to put.
Any good gift is worth the work that you put into it. You'll treasure it more too.
Yes, this is very true.
Anything, it just seems like that's in our nature. If something's just handed to us easily, it's like, eh. But if we work for it, it's like that pearl, you know, that pearl of great price. We just really treasure that gift, and we appreciate it with more gratitude. It's just, but it is something that I, you know, just like you believe that is within all of us. And I think we're doing it. It's just we're not aware that we're doing it, but we're coming into a time that we are becoming aware of these things that are going on with us. And okay, so you, that's another sync that, because I have with my problems, it takes me just about forever to fall asleep. But it was like I got tired, and I mean, I didn't have time. I barely got into their bedroom and laid down, and bam, I was out.
Yeah, and it's very cool. When your astral body wants out, it wants out, and you know, it'll put your physical body to sleep regardless of how you feel normally. Very crazy, very crazy. But when you start noticing that kind of energy coming in, pay attention to it, because there's a lot your astral body's trying to tell you. And I think that, you know, for a while we've been kind of told that, like, you know, this stuff is like out there, and there, you know, that's just not within the scope of humans' abilities, but it very much is. That, like, your consciousness is, you know, what makes you. And you know, this flesh and blood, this, you know, this is what we have right now. But when this passes, I mean, your consciousness has to go somewhere, and it's still you. But you know, I mean, doing these exercises and these practices with projection, you start to see that, okay, so this is not the only reality. I mean, there's many like layers.
Realms. Yeah.
Realms,
Realms, layers, like a cake, layered cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and it's kind of weird, you know, because I feel like nowadays we kind of like have that stripped away from us, so we don't really give it much thought. So we, if you're willing to put in the effort and go the length to do it, like you'll gain truths and insights that, I mean, when you come back, you know that, you know, it's hard to explain sometimes. You can describe it, but it's going to be so true to you, and it'll be something you never forget. I mean, even if you don't write it down, you'll remember. I mean, you should write it down. That's a good idea, but you'll always remember that experience.
Because you know, it's just like any kind of a big event that happens in your life. Like, let's say your wedding day, for example. You never forget that day, you know? So and when we go on these journeys, and I'm not trying to, you know, compare it to a wedding day, but what I'm saying is it's that real to you, and it's so different. Yes, it is like, and it's not a bad thing. It's like, and also if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I use, right now I'm using one computer to do everything on, so I have to read the chat through my tablet. so it's not, you know, I'm not trying, I'm trying to keep up with them. And guys, if I'm not keeping up with the chat, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to read it from the tablet, and I have to wear glasses, so... soon I'm getting one of those, what do you call it? He said it's a double monitor system, so then I'll be able to see the chat full, you know, and everything, and that'll work out better. Not yet, though. I think it'll be around Christmas time, but until then. Okay, so yeah, we've determined that you can feel the energy, and when you just all of a sudden you're feeling fine, and then your body's like, I'm super tired. Go lay down, because you're going to go out anyways. It's going to take you. It's time to go. And so then we determined the time is different there. And we both had similar, different. It was different because of I was gone 15 minutes and thought I was gone hours. And you were gone hours but thought you were gone weeks. So let's talk a little bit about that, because that's interesting too.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Do talk about losing time, right? You hear a lot about people saying that they've lost time. Actually, I feel like I gained time.
Yeah, me too. It was very weird. It felt like you know, I crammed in like 3 weeks into about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Time moved it was like a lot faster there, but when you were there, it didn't feel like it was moving fast at all. In fact, it felt like it was moving incredibly slow. And then to come back to here, you know, and what we conceive as time here hadn't really passed very much. It was kind of not alarming, but surprising. It was surprising.
It was alarming to me.
It can be.
I was like, I normally can't even fall asleep within 15 minutes, let alone to have gone and did all that, and it was only 15 minutes. Yeah, and then you were gone how long? How long did it feel like you were gone, and then tell us how long you were actually gone from this reality?
So it felt like 3 weeks that I had been gone.
Wow.
I was there a while. And when I came back, I had only been asleep for about 2 hours. I remember because I'd set my alarm clock to wake myself up, and because I was just going to take a nap. And it was very strange because I just felt like I'd been gone for way longer than that. And when I came back, and this was the strange thing, I was completely rejuvenated. I don't know how to describe it, and I think a lot of that was the excitement because I'd finally done it. I wasn't tired though. I could hardly go to sleep that night. It was very difficult to do. I wanted to because I knew this could happen again, but you know, at the same time, I felt like somebody had was just like running electricity through me. I couldn't I couldn't hardly sleep. It was so funny. And then trying to describe this to people after it happened, you know, they're like, "Oh, that's great." And I'm like, "Well,
It's
okay,
great. You're crazy. You're crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we understand. Call the guys with the white jackets. Hurry.
yeah."
I mean, you feel like that. It's like, what happened? Oops. I bumped it. Now I lost everybody. I got too excited. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going back. Okay. Sorry, guys, if I missed anybody's comments in between. Okay. For me, when I came back, and I'm sure it was similar for you, I came back and I was alert here, but I felt the residual, like the energetic. It was still, I was still tingling and stuff, and it was, but I did feel rejuvenated, completely fully rested, like I had just taken a 2-hour nap, even though it was only 15 minutes. And that's where I had a little panic thing go on, because of it was only 15 minutes, and what I saw, what I went through, what happened there. I mean, I walked this whole, like 40, what do they call it, 40 acres or whatever, around this big, and there was, like I said, between 6 and 8 of us. And there's a very good possibility you were one of them. And we were talking amongst ourselves, and there was information that was being given to us that was like, just, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Yeah. I can't remember every word of it. I remember the big stuff that, that of course that I'm going to remember, and then other things kind of unlock again in dream time. I think we were allowed to remember a certain part of it, even though information there is open. I realized that there was no question that I asked that was a dumb question. Nobody made me feel like, whenever I asked something like, why do I see, 7 planets in the sky? No, there was no dumb question. You know what I mean? Nobody made me feel bad about it. But, right. But I was able to remember just certain things of it. But I was so startled when I came back that it was only 15 minutes. And then I could hear the energy in my ears, but it started to like this taper down, and like I felt like my body was like spinning from inside, the energy with the tinglies and stuff, and it was settling down. But I felt like I had taken a really nice nap, fully energized, like I was a battery that just got fully energized again. And
that is exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, yep. And I was good to go. Yeah. It's just amazing. Was
Absolutely.
there anything like when you go on these trips, and you don't have to share, because sometimes we're told certain things that are things that we are doing in those realms, or whatever work it is that we're doing, and that is personal, and I don't expect for you to share those kind of things. Well, what we're trying to share is that we're all doing this, and and that it's capable for everybody. But do you get that feeling? Do you get that sense that you are working? You are doing. There's something else that you are doing while you are there. You're not just there on holiday. You're not just there just because. You are actually doing something that is in the benefit of what what the outcome is going to be. By your presence going there?
For me personally, it usually feels a lot like I guess there is self work you can do there. Me personally, it was more like trying to get an insight or glean information into what this really was, this phenomenon. And after experiencing it, it's one of those things you never forget. It becomes very real. It really felt more real than where we are now.
Oh, and yes.
So, yeah. And just the sensations alone. For me, it was more about actually just being able to say, this is a real thing, and I really don't have a reason to be skeptic about it anymore. As where before I was kind of like, I don't know. But then I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to give this a serious shot, put in the practice. And, lo and behold, it is very real. It is very real. And I think that having those experiences, and I've heard other people's stories too, where they leave their body and they'll go fly around their neighborhood. And, mentioning like this earlier, I think that you can stay here. And I think that, that's how a lot of remote viewing can happen. I don't think it's the only way, but I think it's probably one of the biggest ways it can.
I tested that, by the way. I don't know. I didn't share that with you yesterday. I tested the remote viewing thing. It was a while ago, and what I did was I took some numbers, and I just kept repeating the numbers, and you won't believe where I ended up. I ended up in it was an apartment, and it had like the glass walls. It was a beautiful apartment, very nice apartment. And of all the people, I saw Bill Maher. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know who Bill Maher is.
Sitting on a black leather recliner, watching television, and he had a marijuana cigarette. Mm-hmm. I was like, what am I doing here? This isn't where I would want to go. This isn't where I choose. But maybe by the numbers, that's where I ended up. But it was as real as you and I talking to each other. I mean, I was in his living room. He didn't know I was there. And now I didn't stay long. I just went in there, was able to see that, and then I boogied on out. Because the last thing I want to do is invade somebody's privacy. And that's something that we take into account, even with remote viewing and things like that. Are we invading their privacy, their sovereignty, their freedom, and their free will, and things like that? But it just, and you may have noticed this too, but we don't seem to go and hit on seeing somebody and watch them while they're taking a shower, so to speak. I mean, or in compromising situations. They're dressed, they're just doing normal daily activities, and we just get a peek. But I'm going to tell you what, he's got a beautiful apartment, wherever this apartment is. I don't think it's his permanent home. There wasn't a whole lot of furnishings in there. The furnishings that were in there were very beautiful, but it didn't seem like a homey home where you got the family portraits up, you've got all the furniture, you know what I'm saying? It just seemed like I was it wasn't a hotel feel, it was like an apartment feel. But yeah, I was able to see him, and I was like, really? Of all people, Bill, I would rather see Brad Pitt, come on, But yeah, that's where I went.
Hey, and sometimes that's one of the things. Sometimes sometimes you don't have control, especially when it's thrown on you, you know, and you're not expecting it.
When we go off world, I think there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
I think there's work that we're doing that we're, and that we've been doing, but we're becoming aware of it. So, and that's wonderful, because that's going to segue us straight into how you can control when you go and when you don't, and some of the methods that you've learned how to activate this, because I'm very, very interested on that, because I do think it would be fun to just go and travel and not only go when we have work to do. So
right.
Please share with us. Oh, you froze on
there.
There we go.
It's called Astral Projection and the Nature of Reality by the author John Magnus. It's a very good read. He gives you a lot of his experiences and what he went through, and he gives you a lot of practices, physical and mental practices, to try to help you kind of unlock that. I don't want to say portion of your mind, because it is a lot of mental exercises, but unlocking how to get your body, or your astral body, out of your physical body. And he talks about, and a lot of people I'm sure have experienced this, when you start lucid dreaming and you become aware of it, sometimes you get real excited and you wake up. The way he talks about it, and I agree with him, because this happened a lot. Those are called false starts. And when it happens, don't get discouraged. Just, kind of dust yourself off and know that you're going to try again. And you may have another false start, but you might not. You might become completely aware and be able to solidify that lucid dreaming state, and then go and then pull yourself, your body, your etheric body, out of your physical body. He gives a lot of great examples on how to do that, and they really work. One of them, one method that I tried a lot was when I would be laying down trying to fall asleep, I would just take my index finger and I would tap it in a rhythm on the bed. And that's the only part of my body I would move.
Mm-hmm.
And if I fell asleep and woke back up and I wasn't doing it, I would start doing it again, because what was going on is I was pulling my consciousness away out of my mind and putting it in my finger. And so by doing that, I had no time to think of, like, you know, what was going on in the day or any of that. I was physically and actively moving my consciousness somewhere else. There are practices, and I know a lot of people have heard this too, where when you're meditating, look at yourself meditating. You know, try to move your consciousness outside of yourself. And, you know, honestly, when you think about it, if you are looking at yourself, I mean, where's your consciousness at that point? Or if you move your consciousness and try to look in the other room, your consciousness is there. It's not right where you are sitting down meditating at that point. And so these are practices that you try and you do, and you just stay with it. It's got to be a daily thing. Some people who are more inclined, like it is second nature, probably won't have to do it as much, but it very much does help.
So you just, when you're laying there, you just tap your finger.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you kind of doze off and you haven't went anywhere, just go back to tapping your finger. And how often do you get results on that? Is it like every time now? I mean, how long did it take before you saw results?
For me, it took, before the lucid dreaming really started picking up, it was about a month.
That's not long.
Yeah, it took that long.
No, that's not long. That's pretty good.
It was a short time. I'm a very analytical person, so it was a little bit harder for me to get into the mental state where I could actually get outside of my physical body. But I really wanted to try this, and so yeah, it took about a month. The lucid dreaming started picking up. I had a lot of false starts where I start lucid dreaming and wake up because I was like, oh, okay, I was really excited. And that's one thing that they talk about too, is like when you get overly excited, you know, that your astral body gives, you know, you have a physical response in your physical body from the sensations in your astral body. And so sometimes that can jolt you awake. So it took about a month, and then by about another 2 months, I was having lucid dreaming where I'd wake up and I'd fall back into the dream and I'd wake up, but I wasn't physically waking up now. I was just popping in and out of lucid dreaming. That went on for about 2 months. I gleaned a lot of really cool information from that. And then by about the 3rd month mark is when I had that experience, when it finally, everything just kind of fell into place. And I went, oh, okay, this is what I've been practicing. This is why this makes sense. Something very important too, something very important to keep in mind when you do this, a very good practice, and it should be consistent just on the daily anyway, is to imagine yourself emanating like a shield or a bubble from your heart chakra that's completely made out of love. The reason is because you do this, love does defeat everything, and especially anywhere you go. And it's very important to do that, and by doing that, it makes the fear cease. It doesn't exist. So you need to protect yourself that way. That's why if it's unexpected, it can be a little weird. But if you do find yourself in that position, just imagine that, like, surround yourself with love, because it will defeat everything. Very important practice. But that's
good.
That's pretty much
good advice. Very good advice.
Yes,
and you'll see that when you protect yourself with love, if something comes at you and you know that may shock you or whatever, and you're surrounded by love, what it does, what you call like a boomerang effect. So you end up getting rewarded somehow. Yes. Something, you know, when you're just surrounded by love and don't want to hurt anybody, and then something happens, then next thing you know, like something happens to you that you just totally do not expect, in such a huge display that you can't ignore that. You've just been rewarded for, I don't know, like passing a test or
kind of feel like that. That's a
yeah, like, or
comparison.
not hurting somebody, even though they have hurt you in some way. You don't respond in kind, so you get like a reward. It's amazing, and that works also. As we're talking about the working in the astral realm and astral jumping, in dream state, lucid dreaming, crossing over to actually going to different realms. They're
Yes.
all just different states, and those also could be different levels of this cake that we're talking about. And we feel like we're tested on all of them, but these are things that we're doing, and people shouldn't be afraid of it because you've been doing it your entire life. It's just we're becoming aware of it, and we're learning how to take responsibility for it and control it, so
Yes.
that way we can expand on it. So we're not just going. I did a series called Dream Workers because I said we're all dream workers, and as we're becoming more aware of it, not only will we go just to do work, but we'll go and have fun too.
Yeah.
So I am definitely going to try those methods that you just mentioned, so I'm not just going when it's time to go to work, that I can actually go. But except for that Bill Maher thing, now that I went because I was focusing on that, and I just I read somewhere that if you read something over and over and over and it had numbers in it, that I'm gonna go somewhere. Lo and behold, I went somewhere, but it was shocking where I went. I didn't know where I was gonna go, but I sure did go.
Yeah.
So they were right on that regard, but I just didn't know where I was going to go, and it was one heck of an experience. I don't care that actually, I really don't care who it was that I saw. It was just so amazing, the details that I saw, and that I actually was there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to see a magazine or something where they would come in and talk to him and take a picture of him in this apartment type setting,
You're like,
and to
I
see
knew
that.
it.
Yeah, and actually, now that I've said it, here in public, for anybody to see him sitting in a black leather chair, it's like a recliner type chair. It's a really nice, comfortable looking chair, and it's facing towards this television, but there's not much around it. There's just not a whole lot of furnishings and stuff. It'd be interesting, you know how you get those confirmations, I call them synchronicities in life, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
really? And it's kind of just stirs it back up in your brain, like, yes, yes, Joel, that really happened. You are not losing your mind.
Absolutely. And
So
yeah, it's cool because like when you do that, you come back and you're like, okay, like I was a little bit skeptical before, but coming back from that experience, I was like, okay, I'm no longer a skeptic on this. I know it works, and I know it can happen. And the fact that I could do it told me that anybody can do it. I was like,
yeah.
anyone can do this. So it was a very proving thing for me to experience. I went, wow, okay. So there's other stuff, and this isn't just it. This is not the only thing. Yeah.
And that is funny you say that, Joel, because that's how I feel too. But did you know? I mean, this is really kind of freaking me out a little bit. But did you know there's really people that cannot do this stuff? I mean, like, they're trying. It's not like people that are asleep that don't know they're doing it. It's
Right.
people that really don't do it. Now, I've always been one to push off that there's non-participant players or bots and all. I always dismiss that. I'm like, no, no, no. But now as our senses are becoming more acute, where you can sense somebody's heart and you can sense that their essence, so to speak,
Right. Okay.
that there's people that actually you don't get that feeling from them. It's odd. It's really odd, and I'm not sure what to think about that. I'm still pondering that, because I really like my old way of thinking that everybody, if I could do it, anybody can. But what
Right.
if there are people that just are not quite made of the same material as we are, the genetic makeup? I'm not sure. not really sure on how all that works.
Sure. My personal stance on it is I do believe it is possible for everyone to do. I just maybe it's not as easy for some to do it as others. For me, it wasn't really an easy task personally. I really had to put a lot of active effort and my perspective in that direction. A lot of my energy had to go into doing this because and it wore me out. I mean, no lie, by the end of that, like that tiredness you feel in your body when your astral ready to get out, it's overwhelming. It's like you sit down, you're done. You know, so
yeah, when it's time to go, it's time to go.
I better be like laying in bed because
so we're close. Because when it's time to go, it's time to go. Yeah, and for you, okay, it sounds like you're a natural. Okay, so by being a natural, but you then took it a step further and wanted to figure out how you can, with your natural ability, enhance it where you've got a little say-so in when you can go. So that doesn't take or negate the fact that you were a natural.
True, and I think once you do it, you kind of, I guess you'll become a natural at it. It'll probably become easier because you know it's real, and so there's not really much room for doubt when you say, "Oh, can I do this again or not?" It's like, well, yeah, I can, but for me, I'm like, I got to put in the work again a little bit. As far as like putting my energy.
Oh, there's that logic mind getting in the way again. Gotcha. Now, because I was like, what are you talking about?
Very creative, also very analytical.
Yes, we do that though. We're like, this can't be true. We can't. I mean, we do try to that doubt will slow us down. We do doubt it because the world will tell us we're nuts. It's not possible. And then we start to hear that and believe that, and then we start to doubt and. Okay, I that was the first time that I actually caught you being, showing that you are analytical, trying to put logic behind. And you notice it's hard to put logic behind the illogical.
Not since I've done it. It was a lot that way before, and I had to suspend my disbelief. Now, when I want to do it. The logical part of my mind is more apt to tell me, yeah, you can do this. You've already done it, and we've seen you do it, so it makes sense. It's not really so much doubting anymore. It's just putting in the practice to do it. And, sometimes you don't have as much time in the day as you'd like to have.
Well, you do it that other place.
True, you do there. And if you go there, you can probably get in a lot of work.
Get the work done over there.
You come back.
But that's a good time saver.
But from like an analytical, logical viewpoint, I can honestly say that it is a real thing and it's very possible to do. So all you creative people out there, you'll already know this. Like, just run with that. That's my perspective on it. So it's very real, very, very cool when it does happen. You gain a lot from it for sure. But I'm not at the standpoint to tell anybody that it's crazy or not possible because I know it is.
Right. Right. Now, but let's look at Joel. I didn't even ask you how long it was when you became aware that this was going on with you. But let's say 10 years ago, and this had never happened to you. We're just doing an example. And I was to walk up to you and say, hey, let's go. We're going to leave our body. We're going to go to this other realm, and da-da-da-da-da. We're going to go play, and, How would you respond to that with your analytical mind? You think I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I would have. With an accounting background, I'm a very logical-minded thinker. It's got, A, B, and C needs to equal D. You know what I'm saying? It's got to line up.
Yeah.
This doesn't line up.
I've always been kind of open-minded, but also very analytical at the same time. Like it's like both parts of me are always like trying to find balance. Trying to find a balance there. And sometimes one overrules the other, and it's not always the logical side that overrules. It's
right. With your
gotta find that balance. But I probably would have been like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's go do that. But at the same time, would have been like, I don't know. But after experiencing it, I'd say, yeah, okay, totally. Yeah, that's very possible. Absolutely.
And this is a good time to segue into your creativity and your art. I know we talked a little bit about it in the beginning, but you actually partook in a children's book. Do you have the book close by so you can show people?
Oh, I do. Yeah. It's
And I
very
have
bad.
listed that in the show more notes, guys. He did a read on this on my friend Josie's channel. Very, very cute book. Wonderful book.
Yeah, very, very. It was a lot of fun, and it was synchronistic how that came about too. I've always loved art, and I think that that's because I am an analytical person. My only creative outlet was through drawing, and through doing different art styles and art forms. I went through a point in my life where I just wasn't doing it because I was very engaged in other stuff. But then, whenever I picked up the pencil again, it was like not a day had passed. It was, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I did this book, Allie the Ant. It's by author Stacy Beitcher, and you can find it on Amazon or Etsy. It was really synchronistic.
It's the Amazon link that we have in the show more. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
okay,
you can find
great.
it there. Yep, and also on Etsy. Just go look it up. You'll find it.
Allie the Ant. But, I did put the title down there too.
It's been really cool because the response has been very, very positive, and so we're so grateful for that. That's really awesome because we put our heart into this because we do have a passion about literacy and making sure that there's good positive stuff out there for the youth.
And the message, yes, is very positive. It's beautiful. We've got one ordered for my my granddaughter. She'll be getting that for Christmas. So, and that was from when I saw you reading on that, and it was just like, oh, that is adorable. And I do find that people are stepping into their creative nature and seem to be happier. I mean, we're not going to be happy all the time. Anybody that tells you that, kind of steer clear because that's not true. But when you're doing something that makes you happy, when you're creating something that makes you happy, or your work with with your hands, and where you actually make a little bit of money, and then you can pay your bills, and you enjoy what you're doing, those people seem to have a much happier, like a spring in their step. They have a lighter feel to them, rather than punching that time clock and sitting there and just clock watching until it's time to go home. It's
following your passion. Yeah, it's even when you're following your passion, you're not, like you said, you're not going to be happy all the time, but it's almost, it's not going to be as often, like as if you were just doing something that makes you miserable and not feel good. And I do believe more people they are stepping into following their passion and what they love to do. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but if you're willing to stick with it, it will be an amazing journey.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And yeah, it's but again, we go back to anything worthwhile takes work, and then you appreciate things more. If everything is just handed to us, and I think a lot of the reason why we're here and what we're doing here is to expand now and have experiences, and to be able to to have one, you've got to have the other in order to balance it out, to be able to choose. Where the golden rule I live by is do unto others that I want done to myself. So I'm not going to step on other people in order to have my experience and only my experience. When it just seems like as the more aware we become that that we're doing this, we've been doing this naturally, it's a natural ability, but the more aware we become, the more responsible we need to become. Because when we realize that we're creating what is going on around us, then we need to be more responsible on how we're treating other people, because people are not the enemies here. It is, we do buffer one another, and we don't want to step over somebody's sovereignty. but at the same time, we don't want somebody stepping over ours. So we want to create what is, and my creation is, I want to create something that's in the best interest of everybody, where everybody's hearts, you know, there's nobody going hungry. Everybody is treated equally and respectfully. So if my happiness comes at the expense of hurting somebody else, then I'm not happy. That's not my goal.
Worth it. Not worth it.
No,
you know,
no, it's not.
You know, bad energy, but you know, you just it's not always going to be easy to do that. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices in order to make sure that, you know, you're not putting anybody out, and you know, you have to be happy yourself. So it's again like finding that balance in there, you know, and making sure that whatever you do it out of love and compassion, because you know it sounds corny, but that is the answer, you know. It really is.
And you know, just and this is for everybody. Sometimes people just throw darts at you. You don't understand why. Don't worry about the why. And this goes for myself too. Sometimes we, you know, need to make the sacrifice, just like Joel said, and you know, make our distance, and just walk away, because we need to do what is healthy for them, and we need to do what is healthy for us. We don't deserve the darts, and we don't want them to be constantly in turmoil and angered. It's not healthy. That's a karma thing, you know. When you're always stressed out or angry, you're doing more harm to your body than anything else, because somebody could be mad at you, okay, but that's not going to harm you. But it's the person that is actually angry, that's got that festering inside of them, that they're doing more damage to their self than they could ever do to the person that they're angry with on the energetic level. It's something to ponder. So, you know, and everything in balance. Oh my gosh, we're creeping up on an hour. Let me look at the chat, you guys. I'm on my secondary channel, which is Awake. If you add Awake on there, I'll see it. If you have any questions for Joel, he's just a wealth of information. Like I said again, the book is in the show more notes. Since he is really not active on his YouTube channel, but he promises he's going to be, so that's down there too. So that is all in the show more notes, and his YouTube channel is on my homepage too. Also, I'm sure something is buzzing around me. I'm sure that when at least you'll put the links and stuff, or a short little clip on how to find the books that you are illustrating. Yeah,
we've also got a Facebook page that people can go and find, and I'll throw that in a link on my YouTube channel for anybody that wants to go see that too. So we do
so there is a reason.
There is a reason.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
So anybody have a question? Any questions about how we can actually you know, control this, or have some say-so on any other methods? I know I was very interested in the finger tapping, but he brought up another one, and you know, I'll have to watch the playback, but somebody may have been more interested in that one. Do you remember what that second one was? I got interested in the finger tapping, and then I was like, I'm just that one. It's so simple that I was like, wait.
It's so simple, it's ridiculous, but it'll get your mind. It's starting to head in that direction, you know, or not your mind, because I guess you're trying to shut that down, but
right.
Body or consciousness out, you know.
What with meditation in the beginning, what I had to do in order, because that mind racing, I used to have this problem when I try to go to sleep. I think about all kinds of things that there's no way I could do any of it anyways while I'm sleeping. It's not even that there's nothing I could do about any of this stuff, but it's just rolling around in my mind, you know. And so I use something as simple as focus on a blank piece of paper, just a blank white sheet of paper. I'm looking at a blank white sheet of paper in my mind's eye, and then all of a sudden, that, you know, the lucid dreams and stuff, I began to remember them much better and more sequential. So like, instead of only remembering like the first place I was at and the last, I was then able to remember like all different areas that I went to in that. And you know, he's also him and I both agree on when you know leave your body, go to a light switch. If you can't turn it on, you're out
Yeah.
of your body walking around.
But it worked.
Nothing to fear there. It's a
Nope.
natural part of us. We are not this avatar. We are so much more. We're using this avatar to have our experiences.
Hmm. Yeah, to navigate this reality.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to taste food,
Okay.
dance, feel you know. I know I've had sensations though in these other realms. I feel things. I can smell things, and it's just different.
Yeah, it's very different.
There's no negativity there. I never feel negativity. Never.
Yeah, there is a very euphoric feeling though that you kind of get when you're in these places, like almost you're made out of energy. You know, you can feel it.
Yeah,
And
and you don't want to leave.
yeah, no, you
No.
know, and I've heard stories too of people that don't come back because they just love it too much. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I posted my near death experience. I was given a choice. I really was. I could have stayed, and I wanted to stay, but then when they showed me the images, it's kind of ties along with what we're talking about here, because I was at a place that's no place, at a time that's no time, but it was absolutely gorgeous. The unconditional love that I felt. This man came and talked to me and told me all kinds of things, but then he flashed all these images, and when you're in that place, we're able to comprehend and observe things at a much higher volume. Like
Yeah. Yes.
it was like, but that what he was showing me was different probabilities and possibilities. So in
Hmm.
all of these different probabilities and possibilities, with me being absent by making the choice to stay, there was one person that in each of them it was not good for them. And as soon as my heart attached to that and said, I don't want that for that person, bam, I was back in my body. They
Yeah.
didn't even give me a chance to say, wait. It was like, bam, I was
Yep.
back in my body.
Because I believe that there was that connection there that you know it's it almost wasn't like a verbal like agreement that but like they that connection was there and was real enough that
Hmm.
you felt that okay, well, I don't want this for that person.
Right.
I and it's instantaneous. It happens so fast,
Hmm.
you know. But
And it was
yeah,
through my heart. I felt it in my heart, and bam, I was back in my body.
yep,
But you know, I can tell you when I was there that we are so much more. You know, it's not what
absolutely.
we don't just live this life and it's over and it's done. It's just that's not even it. We are so much more. And there, I am open to even thinking there's a possibility that we go and after a while we decide, I want to broaden my perspective, and we pop back down here again,
Mm-hmm.
where we remember to forget.
And like it's just like with energy. I mean, it's not really created or destroyed, but it can be transformed, move different places.
Mm-hmm.
So, it like the whole die.
Energy has no motive. Energy is neutral. We're the ones that put the intentions, or we put the energy into motion by our hearts and our words, our mind. There's so many different ways, and everything is energy.
Yep.
And I want you to stay on with me because I want to share something amazing that I found that I think you might be really interested in. Because I stumbled across it and I was just absolutely fascinated by the findings of these individuals. It's very, very interesting. And of course, you guys, in time it'll be shared out here. I may try to reach out to them and see if they'll come on and give their testimony to you guys. Wow. I mean, like, wow. Anyways, do you have anything final that you would like to say before we
Um,
sign out? Oh, I
no,
better scroll down and make sure that
love
any
and light to
questions.
everybody. You're all great. Love you so much. Yeah, hopefully I'll be getting videos up soon. The sooner the better, but Oh, and we do have another book coming out, hopefully by Christmas. We're trying to meet this deadline, so Christmas gifts for the wee ones.
Yes, and I already got one ordered for a Christmas gift for the wee one. The Allie the Ant is a very good gift for any young child. I would say, 8 and under, actually even 10 and under, but 8 and under, it's got a really good teaching in there of, you can do anything. It's an amazing little book, and yeah, we've definitely ordered one for my granddaughter. So
I hope she loves it. I hope she does. That would be so cool. You'll have to let me know.
She will absolutely love it. Oh, we'll be in touch, I'm sure. Okay, guys, you're going to see the screen go a little wonky just for a moment. I apologize for that. And let's see what we got going on.